Hey everyone, I thought I would make a video today about pointe shoes. So in my last video I had a comment or two about wanting dance related content, and I hadn't made a video yet talking about my pointe shoe issues, especially as an adult beginner. So I have very problematic feet for pointe work. My first issue is I have the Egyptian foot type, which is the big toe is the longest toe. It makes it difficult because all of the pressure is on that toe, and very often it can be very painful depending on if you have a problem with sinking, if you have a compression issue. I have both of those issues actually. I have my other issue is I do tend to sink because my feet are compressible, and they're not just compressible in the traditional sense at the metatarsal. They're actually not quite too compressive at the metatarsal. They're very compressive in the toes. So even though originally I was fitted with a toe spacer between the big toe and the second toe, they still compress. It's hard to see on this foot. This foot doesn't show it as easily, but they still compress a lot at the toes. This is, yeah. My other issues are my feet are very different. They are a different shape. The metatarsals are a different shape. The tendons in each foot operate differently. I don't really know how to explain it. It's almost as if in my right foot the tendons are crossed. I'm not sure if it's from some type of injury or if I was born that way. But like if you see, I'll try to show you from this angle. It's easier to see from the top. But this is my left foot. And as I go to point my foot, you can see everything just kind of goes together. It all goes straight down through. And then on the right, I don't know if it's going to be visible at this angle, but you can kind of see it there. Those toes here slant off to the side. And I don't know if that's just like a control issue and I can learn to just like re-control them, like teach them to be like the other foot, or if that is actually the tendons are messed up in there. But it causes like a lot of articulation issues in this foot because I don't have the same amount of control, because the toes won't kind of go together when in this motion. I also don't have a lot of control of each individual toe, and I know that can actually be overcome. You can do different exercises to be able to control each toe individually. I want to start doing that more. And then my last issue, which is kind of related to this issue, is I have snapping tendons. I have it in my entire body. I've had it before I danced. I had issues with snapping tendons. I get it in my shoulders, my hips, my ankles, and apparently my toes and feet. But like I've always had, you can't even hear it. It's not doing it now, but this ankle snaps like constantly. But I realized that with the way I was originally fitted in my pointe shoes, my tendons were snapping when I would roll up in first position, in any position, but like in the beginning when you're just doing your first position releves, as I would roll through, the tendons in my toes would snap. They would catch and snap and roll through, and it was excruciatingly painful, like excruciating. And over time, it caused the balls of my feet to become really tender, and I couldn't even stand on demi-pointe because everything was so tender in the balls of my feet from the tendon snapping in my toes. And I came to the realization that a lot of that has to do with the compression that happens, and also the compression makes it so that as I'm rolling through the shoe, my tendons aren't staying aligned, my toes aren't staying aligned and straight. And so it's causing everything, all the misalignment is causing the tendons to catch and snap. So I had to get really creative to figure out how to combat all of that. So I'm gonna kind of explain to you how I was originally fitted. These are, yes, my very first pair, and they're still my only pair. I had the misfortune of having COVID interrupt my first year of Pointe, and I have not been truly back on Pointe since. And I've gained weight, so my shoes are very tight now because I have gainer Tendons. The satin does not stretch the way it does in a traditional shoe. So my shoes are pretty tight on me right now. When I went for my first fitting, I was sinking like crazy in every shoe. Gainer Tendon is the only shoe that could hold me. It is the only shoe that could support me. Every time I would put a shoe on, and my fitter said, I think you just have sensitive toes. And the reality is I was just straight into the floor in every shoe. And she wanted me in Block Heritage was the first shoe she put me in. Every shoe we tried on that was a traditional shoe, I couldn't even get up on Pointe because like I didn't tell her at the time, but the truth is it felt like I was trying to hoist all of my weight up by my big toe, just on the tip of my toe. As if there was no shoe on my foot supporting me, which meant I was sinking straight into the floor. So when I was originally fit, I was fit with a super spacer, one spacer. Let me see if I can find it. Super spacer. So the super spacer between the big toe and second toe, because I have a space there. And then a big fluffy gel pad. And especially because of my big toe being longest, we wanted to cushion it as much as possible, right? So finally, technically this is my second pair of shoes. The first ones I got were a half size too big, and I had to go and exchange them for these. But so when I finally got the shoe that worked the best, I put the ribbons on and everything. First times I was trying to dance in them or even do anything in them, try them on, I noticed there were major issues with the padding. Literally, I felt like my foot was being suffocated inside the shoe, like my foot was going to just shatter, like my bones would shatter. It was so tight and unbearably so, and I couldn't articulate at all through the shank. And like, even with my feet as they got stronger, like with that type of padding, I can't articulate. With any type of padding that goes around the foot, I can't articulate very well. And this is a known thing with dancers. Like a lot of professional dancers go without padding because they want the shoe closer to their foot, and that helps them articulate a lot more. Padding gets in the way of the articulation. I've tried lots of different types of padding. I have pro pads right here. These were like the very last ones I tried, and I still have them. I try them every now and again just to see, but it still had the same issues where everything feels kind of tight, and I can't articulate well. And then I noticed this issue that when I get up onto Pointe, so when I'm on Pointe without padding, I'll get to what I actually use inside of the shoe, but without padding around my foot, I can feel the shank in my arch. As I'm on Pointe and the shoe is bending under the weight of my foot, I feel the shank push into my arch. When I have a pad around my foot, I feel the shank push in at the ball of my foot. That means that the shank is breaking in the wrong place. It is breaking at the ball of the foot instead of the arch. On the outside, you can see it at the arch. You can't tell that it's pushing in here, but on the inside, I feel it here. And that's incorrect alignment in the shoe. It's an incorrect break in the shank. And that's not what you want. You want your shank to either be at the center of your arch or a little bit higher at your 3/4 point of your arch. So what I do and how I have figured things out, because for a while I was stuffing these spacers down into the box, so it was sitting at the bottom and I had something to sink into because I was still sinking. No matter what I would do, I was still sinking. And even to this day, when my feet are strong, I'm still sinking, and I'm in a 4 box, and I probably need the 3+ box. But it's a lot better than it was. So eventually I stopped doing that because it would just shimmy out of the way. and I would sink straight into the bottom past the little squishy thing, and my fitter was mad at me for using this in the bottom, even though I've seen professionals. I've seen Anna Old uses it in her shoe, and Robbie Downey puts a silicone in her toe pads, and then puts her foot in the shoe. So it's not unheard of for even professional dancers to put a little pad in the bottom for shock absorption and to cushion their big toe. It was not working for me, and it was interfering with feeling the floor. It was interfering with a lot of stuff. So I had to get real creative, and I figured, well, I need to narrow this box somehow because my feet are compressible and they sink, and I need to make the box a little narrower. So inside the shoe, I use the Gainer Minden. These are dirty. I use the Gainer Minden Instant Wings. They also have a box liner, which doesn't really, it's kind of like, it doesn't have those little extra wings on it. I use the Instant Wings. I have a pair in here already. This is a spare pair. There are some in here already. And it just narrows the box a little. It pads the box a little, and it pads it without being around your foot, whereas this would be on your foot. And then you put your foot in, and for some reason when it's on your foot, it interrupts the ability to articulate. However, when it is in the box, it kind of just makes it part of the shoe. So it's like a padding that's part of the shoe instead of on your foot. So it doesn't really interfere at all. And then I figured I needed to make my feet wider, and also because my tendons were misaligning and my toes were misaligning in the roll through because of how compressible everything is, my solution to both of those issues was to widen my feet and to have more spacers. So I do a super spacer like I was fitted with, and then I do a demi spacer in the next set of toes, and then another demi spacer, which I have cut the end off of this one because it just gets obscenely ridiculous with all the little tails on them. But I have to literally, and this is my bad foot, my right foot, my bad foot, I have to wear 3 toe spacers to widen my feet enough to combat the compression in the toes, which also helps combat the misalignment of my toes, helps them roll through straight, and it combats the snapping tendons. So that way when I point down through, I've got no weird compressing going on. On my big toe, I put about 3 layers of Next Care foam tape in order to cushion my big toe because I do still sink a little bit. And even regardless if you sink, you're gonna feel the floor at some point, and it's not gonna be pleasant sometimes. So, and also even without sinking, the inside of the shoe is not pleasant feeling against my toe. Even standing flat in it, if I don't have padding, it's kind of painful just standing flat because my toe will push into the bottom of the shoe, and even though the gainers have that little pad in there, it's not like soft, it's kind of rough like to the touch, so it kind of just is like annoying and not pleasant and can even hurt. So I highly recommend for any dancers who have not yet tried Next Care foam tape, especially if you're an adult beginner and you are just lost in items to try, you're in pain, you need cushion, and you don't know what to do, Next Care foam tape, I highly recommend this. So yeah, that is basically what I do in my Pointe shoe. 3 toe spacers, 3 layers of Next Care foam tape, and Instant Wings to pad the box. No padding on my foot. I'm sure the next time I go for a fitting, my fitter's gonna be a little bit confused as to what I've been doing in my Pointe shoes, but it has worked, and I have a feeling that all these toe spacers are gonna be what's gonna potentially get me into a traditional shoe someday if I ever want to move to a traditional shoe. I think the big issue was the compression was causing the sinking. And I think if I'm able to widen my foot and not have that massive amount of compression in my toes, I can get support from a wider variety of shoes. I have yet to try any. COVID interfered with everything, and now that Gainer has moved their factory to Europe and their shoes are different, it's gonna be interesting to be refitted eventually when these do finally kick the bucket, because they're still going. I mean, they're soft, softer. They're not dead yet, and actually I like them the softer they get, so I think the next round I'm gonna get a softer shank. I'm in the pink shank, the supple shank. I want to go with the next one down, which I think is the feather flex. Just because I still feel like this shank, like when I get to about here, like it stops and then I go boing. And no matter how strong my feet became during that year, I was still hitting that edge of the platform and then popping up. And I think that has to do with the shank being just not right for my foot. And maybe my feet just need to be stronger. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to make that video to explain how I manage my pointe shoe issues, and maybe it'll give you some ideas to help you with yours if you're having problems in your pointe shoes, if you're an adult beginner and you don't know where to begin in anything. Definitely like do what you need to do to be comfortable in your shoe. My fitter didn't want me to put a silicone pad in the bottom. She wanted me to wear a gel pad or some type of padding around my foot. And it's funny because Gator Minden, they say, like the company says, our shoe is designed to not need padding. Yet my fitter was adamant that she wanted me to wear padding. And I get that, you know, it's kind of the thing now because for so long everybody was doing it without it and just paper towels or lamb's wool, and they were just in so much pain and for, you know, decades. And this, you know, they want you to be comfortable, but there is a point where like the stuff that's supposed to help add comfort might actually do the opposite, depending on your feet, depending on your shoe, depending on your situation. So find what works for you and go with that. Don't listen to anybody else. If it's working for you, if it's not injuring you, if it's giving you the correct alignment, if it's making it so you can dance on pointe, do that. Because I reached out to the pointe shop online and I said, this is what I've been doing in my shoe, and my fitter doesn't like it. And she's like, you do what you need to do to dance on pointe. To dance safely and comfortably on pointe, you do what you need to do to not be in pain. Because pointe shouldn't actually be horrifically painful. Yes, if you've been dancing for 12 hours a day in a pair of pointe shoes and you have blisters, yes, it's going to be painful, but you should not be having such excruciating pain the moment you get on pointe that your toe is grinding into the floor and you're like, you feel like all your bones are going to break or like your tendons are snapping. Like that shouldn't be a thing. That's not a thing. That type of pain in pointe work shouldn't exist. There is enough variety of shoes, enough variety of padding, enough methods. There's something out there that will help you dance comfortably on pointe. So I really hope this helped. Anybody who's looking for information, anybody who just wanted to watch a video about pointe shoes, any weirdos out there who just wanted to see feet in a video, I hope you're satisfied. I really don't know. I don't have the nicest feet, but anyway, I'm gonna go get on with my day. That was I didn't even put them on, but I haven't been on pointe in a long time. My ankles aren't very strong right now, and these are super tight on me right now because I've gained weight, and actually when I'm warmed up, my feet shrink. So after class, if I put these on, they fit better. If I put them on at the front of class, they're too tight and they cut off my circulation because that's how my feet work. Anyway, I will see you guys in another video. So enjoy and see you guys later.